Secretary Philomena Robertson, and welcome to this week's post-cabinet press briefing. Thank you to members of the media who have joined us this morning, to the audience who have joined us via television, radio, social media. Thank you as well for tuning in. This morning we have in our midst as well some representatives from GIS St. Lucia. Welcome to you guys. Now, this morning, we are going to do things a little bit different. We'll have a two-part press briefing. In the first segment, as you can see with me, I have the Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture and the Arts, Senator Nolan Cox. He will talk to us about Independence Wrap-Up, exciting developments for 5 of our local artists. I'm sure you would have heard the news. And we're inching closer to the 2 one-day international matches that Grenada will host, England versus the West Indies, later this month. Minister Cox, welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Press Secretary, and pleasant morning to all our media personnel and persons listening in Grenada and overseas in the diaspora, and a special welcome to St. Lucia's GIS. This morning, as Press Secretary indicated, I want to start off by saying we just concluded the celebrations, the 45th Independence celebrations, and we want to express a special thank you to the entire nation for the support that they have given to all our events, including on the final day parade as well. We want to also say thank you to the National Celebrations Committee and the volunteers for the work they have done to ensure that this year's celebration was successful. We had a new venue this year, and among other things, so we are also putting in place an avenue for us to get feedback from the public in terms of the venue. We received some feedback that maybe we should continue having it at that venue. So we want to hear from the public, and even all the other events that we would have had. We want to engage you in terms of feedback so we can improve our celebration activities going forward for next year and beyond. Moving forward, as you know, 5 of our artists were very successful last Sunday evening in Trinidad at the International Power Soca Monarch and Groovy Monarch, making it into the finals. This is historic for us, this is big for us, and we want to congratulate them as a ministry and as a government on their success. And we believe that that is excellent for Grenada, and it will create a lot of opportunities for all the local and young and upcoming artists. We also want to express our thanks to the Caribbean Prestige Foundation and, of course, the National Carnival Commission for the support and also for the invitation for us to be part of that event as well. While I was in Trinidad during that event, we had an opportunity to meet with the Minister for Culture and Community Development in Trinidad and also the chairman of the National Carnival Commission, that is Calypsonian Gypsy. We had an opportunity to do a press conference on Saturday where we had, I think, all television stations and newspapers as well being there and give us an opportunity to speak about Grenada Carnival. Also, extensively, we invited them for persons because we know that persons normally leave Trinidad as well during Carnival time, and so we extended invitations for them to come to Carriacou to experience another unique festival as well. So we did that extensively on Saturday. There were some challenges with the audio from that press conference, so I think that they had pulled that video down. So we're working with them to see if we can get it back up so persons can see what was discussed on that day as well. And on Sunday, we also engaged them. We had an opportunity to go to various Calypso tents as well to see what is taking place, and to see and discussions to see what other opportunities that there might be for not just for soca artists but for also our Calypsonians as well. So all in all, we believe that the trip was a very successful one. Of course, with the final result of having 5 of our artists in the finals, and we wish them all the best going forward. As regards to sports, you know that we have cricket, lovely cricket coming up. In discussions with the ticket sales booth this morning. Sales are going pretty fine. I trust that everybody here has already purchased their ticket because or probably as the media people, I know you guys have a free pass. Nonetheless, we want to encourage every Grenadian get an opportunity to partake and to go out and support our regional team. We have cricket on Monday the 25th and Wednesday the 27th. So we want to express that. Just to give you a list of these events that we have leading up to not just only leading up to, but during the two-day game. The team arrives on Saturday, the 23rd. On the evening of that Saturday, we are planning a reception. We have a reception and cocktail schedule for the team and visiting persons at Sandals La Source. Details on the time will be given later. On Sunday, there is the Rally Around the Rest in this concert at Spice Basket, which we are partnering together with GTE and a private promoter to have this concert. I think that we have David Rodder, who's going to be featured artist at that, along with other local artists at that concert. On Monday would be our first game. On a Tuesday, which is a rest day, we're going to have Taste of Spice extravaganza on the Carriacou, where our local cuisine, food, drink, local music products will be on display for our visitors to partake in, to share and be part of the Grenadian experience. And on Wednesday, we have the final second game taking place on Wednesday, and the team leave the following day. Both teams leave the following day. So basically, this is what I want to just to inform the public on this morning. And as Press Secretary indicated, we have another segment, so I do not want to be too lengthy, but to give you some time for questions. So you can take some questions now.
Thank you very much, Minister Cox. As indicated, the floor is now open for questions on this particular subject. As usual, please identify yourself and your media house before you ask your question.
Good morning, Akeisha Felix, the Grenada Broadcasting Network. Okay, so you would have mentioned that invitation was extended to members of the Trinidad and Tobago public to participate in the kayak mass this year. What sort of attraction, newly added attractions, you're seeing at kayak mass to actually promote the festival, apart from the usual Shakespeare mass and so on? What else you have to more or less, intrigue the public?
Well, to be honest with you, Carriacou in itself is an attraction just because of who I want to say we are as a people, and more so what we offer in terms of Carriacou experience and the safety. Our carnival is unique, and for persons who have traveled to Carriacou for carnival can attest to that. I am certain about that. The Carriacou carnival is unique in its own way, and we have a number of private events that really expresses that Carriacou feeling. It's a different feeling. It's a different type of carnival in comparison. While some of the events might be similar, it is somewhat a different experience. And we think that once you get an opportunity to experience that, you are going to return. And I myself personally would have had engagement with persons from Trinidad who have met there during carnival time, actually playing the pretty mass and everything like that. So I know that we do receive persons from Trinidad partaking, and so we just want to encourage them to continue to do so.
Okay, I know the ministry normally offers support to the artists, right? You mentioned that in the last postcard going into the semi-final round. So for the finals, would we see any sort of compensation package for any of the artists? Can you give us details as to what exactly you guys normally, offer?
What is not just only competition. For Carnival, we normally give support to artists based on a need basis, based on what requests they would have made. And in this case, the approach is basically the same. We would have discussions with them, and they would indicate where they might need support, what type of support they might need. And so we wouldn't just say we'll just give you this or give you that, but we want to ensure that the support that we give creates that impact that they want to help them to do better in their performance. So we are in discussions with them, and they are going to indicate as to exactly what type of support, be it marketing, promotion, be it finance. Sometimes they may want a particular individual to be part of the production and part of the presentation. and maybe we might just have to assist in getting that person down to Trinidad. So that is the different type of support that we're looking at. So they are the ones that are going to communicate that to us, and we will respond accordingly.
Okay, final question. Last post-cab, I was here with Minister Pear, and we spoke about CEDU and St. Andrews and development and so on. So as a recent post on Minister Thomas' page would have mentioned something about St. Andrews Community Development Committee or something of that sort. So I'm of the belief that, dialogue has started with individuals who would have been interested and so on. So if you have any information, can we get an update on?
Lucky for me, Minister Thomas is going to come up right after me. So I will allow her to answer that question. So she'll be right on my heels. So just take a note of that question. You're right by her. But I know that she would have a response for you in that regard. So let me allow her to answer. The question was for her. That's right.
Do we have any further questions? Okay, well, Minister, with that, any final comments from you?
Sure. Cricket is before us. As I say, we want to ensure that we give our visitors coming from England and all over the world a wonderful experience as regards to cricket. And this is a very important time for us. Since, I believe 2015 we had cricket here. And so it's been a while. And so we want to ensure that we're doing our best. We're doing some preparations. Yesterday we had a visit with the team. The National Organizing Committee, we had a visit throughout the walkthrough to the stadium yesterday to ensure that all structures are in place. And we have a final inspection coming up, I believe, if not on the weekend, but early next week from Cricket West Indies. They'll be coming to do their walkthrough to ensure that everything is in place as well. We believe that it's going to be an exciting 2-day of cricket. Well, let's say 3 days experience in Grenada. We understand that there is a particular cruise ship that is following the cricket games throughout the island, and they will be here too as well. We'll have some more information on that for the media. We understand that a minimum of 3,000 spectators should be here in Grenada. And so we see this as very good for our local economy persons taking advantage. So we want to call on all our stakeholders to ensure that we do our best to give all our visitors the true Grenada experience and to ensure that we have a wonderful and safe cricket tournament come week after next. Thank you very much.
And we will certainly be hoping for victory for the West Indies following on their victory so far in the test matches.
Of course.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this first segment of our post-cabinet press briefing. There is a second segment to come. Thank you very much, Minister Cox. We'll certainly see you next time. In the second part of today's post-cabinet briefing, I will be joined by Minister for Social Development, Housing and Community Empowerment, Honorable Delma Thomas, and some members of a visiting delegation. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
In recent months, there has been talk about the coming on stream of a national health insurance for Grenada. This is in fact so, and Grenada is in the design phase of setting up what a national health insurance would look like for the country. In this short production, we would discuss what's a national health insurance or NHI. As persons may know, the government of Grenada, in keeping with Sustainable Development Goal 3, which deals with health and well-being, took the decision to introduce a national health insurance or NHI program that aims at providing universally accessible and affordable health services to its residents, and particularly for the socio-economic marginalized segments of the population. So in other words, a national health insurance is a compulsory health financing mechanism which pools health risks and contributions from all residents in a single fund. This essentially means all residents of Grenada will at some point be required to contribute to a pool of funds through various mechanisms so that each person can benefit. Sort of like the I help you, you help me, we all help each other scenario. What this kind of health financing mechanism does is enable universal access and universal health coverage. But what exactly is universal health coverage? According to the World Health Organization, universal health coverage means that all people and communities can use promotive, preventive, curative, and rehabilitative health services they need of sufficient quality to be effective, while ensuring these services does not expose the user to financial hardship. Simply put, the ordinary man must be able to access health care for his well-being at any given time without the headache of where the finances would come from. This is exactly what a national health insurance hopes to achieve: universality, equity, and efficiency. We hope this short production gave you a better insight into what a national health insurance is all about. For more information, contact the Secretariat on telephone number 439-6447 or email us at info@nhigrenada.org. You can also look us up on Facebook, National Health Insurance Secretariat Grenada. Don't forget to like our page. In our next production, we explain the difference between equal healthcare and equitable healthcare, another major feature of a national health insurance program. I am Abigail McIntyre, Communications Officer for the National Health Insurance Secretariat, saying thank you for listening and do join us again next time.
The NTRC is the regulator for the telecom sector in Grenada, Carriacou, and Tipiman. We regulate all of the telecoms providers in Grenada. The main functions of the NTRC are to regulate prices for telecommunication services, collect all fees prescribed and any other tariffs levied under the Telecommunications Act 31. Plan, supervise, regulate, and manage the use of the radio frequency spectrum, receive and review applications for licenses, and advise the minister accordingly, investigate and resolve complaints related to harmful interference, manage the Universal Service Fund, ensure that providers maintain the quality of service levels as defined in the regulations, investigate complaints by persons aggrieved by actions or conduct of a telecommunications provider. NTRC Grenada, your telecommunications sector regulator.
Welcome back to the post-cabinet press briefing. This is our second segment as promised, and I have been joined by the Minister for Social Development, Housing and Community Empowerment, Honorable Delma Thomas. She's accompanied by her Permanent Secretary, Ms. Veronica Charles. And they have their visiting counterparts from St. Lucia, Minister of Social Justice, Equity, Local Government and Empowerment, Honorable Leonard Montoute, and the Permanent Secretary in that ministry, Velda Octavia Joseph. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We also have Mrs. Leonora George Buckmeyer, the Seed Manager. Welcome to one and all.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, I will allow Minister Thomas to make an opening statement, following which her St. Lucian counterpart, Honorable Leonard Montoute, will do the same, and then we'll go into the question and answer segment. Minister Thomas?
Good morning to every one of you. Good morning to the media personnel. I want to first welcome my counterpart from St. Lucia, Minister Leonard Montoute, and his Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Joseph, and other members of the team. In fact, they have a large delegation from St. Lucia here this morning. So if you look around the room, you'll realize there are many strange faces. So I want to welcome you to beautiful Spice Island, Grenada, and I do hope that apart from the work, you get a time to enjoy our beautiful tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique. Just to say that Mr. Minister and his team is here as part of a high-level delegation as they are looking at our SEED program, which is our social safety net, as part of the social protection reform in St. Lucia. And you know that our Safe Steed is in full implementation, and it is a model in the region, and so our OECS countries are looking at our program and how they can implement it within their country, and that is why St. Lucia is here this morning with us on this couple of days. So they will be with us for a week looking at the program. Not only the SEED program, but we also have the Bacalet Rehabilitation and Treatment Center, which they also are looking at as part of the juvenile justice reform. And I would like to go through the main objective of their visit. One is to provide St. Lucian team with a thorough understanding of the SEED program with emphasis on best practices and challenges faced by Grenada in the implementation of the SEED program. Secondly, to demonstrate the functionalities of the beneficiary management information system, to acquire an understanding of the key component of the BMIS in monitoring, evaluation, and reporting, and to understand and appreciate its integration into the payment process. Also, to gain a working knowledge of how the BMIS is integrated in the partnering ministries. Thirdly, to provide St. Lucian team with an understanding on how Bacalet facility operates within the context of several of the international treaties, such as the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the OECS USAID Juvenile Justice Reform Project. And last but not least, to provide lessons that will be relevant for the St. Lucia's safety net reform. So, Minister, we really want to welcome you again, and we will be extending a hand of partnership to our St. Lucian colleagues in the quest to embark on these two very critical reforms. We pledge unreservedly to render whatever assistance and guidance required for successful implementation of those two reforms. As I said to you earlier on, it will be new for your country, and therefore you will have some challenges, especially us as politicians, because in the past, as politicians, people can come to us and a list of names can be given and these persons get on. It's no longer going to be that way. In Grenada, I am not involved at all in getting people on, and no ministers within our government, they are not involved also. So it will be a case where the persons who get on is people who are really in need. In the past, we had persons who on, and because they are friend of the minister of government or friend of an officer within the ministry, they can access those programs. With that new SEED program, it is no longer that way. However, there's also other challenges because the assessment is done by the computer. The information you put in, you get a result based on that. And therefore, you must have a process where people can object. In case a family might say, well, we deserve that program, yet we fail the proxy means testing, and therefore there's an appeals process, or there must be an appeals process. One of the things I explained earlier, there are some families who are asset rich. So for example, in the Grenada context, before Ivan, many families had lands with nutmegs, and so they're able to build a nice wall house with bathroom and toilet and electricity. They never worked anyway. All they had was the land then. However, they get old, there's no income, but you have this big wall house, and the waiting from the questionnaire might say this person is rich because you're asset rich, but really you are poor. And therefore, even though you fail that process, you can appeal that process, and you can then get on once they believe that you are genuinely in need. So I want to wish St. Lucia all the best as they go into the implementation of that new program, not only the seed, but even in the issue of juvenile reform, in terms of dealing with our children as children, not putting them with adults and seasoned criminals, dealing with them in a treatment, providing counseling for them and their families. We hope that St. Lucia will be able to get all those going, and we will be working for our higher calling, which is not on earth, but in heaven. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is the first time I've heard applause during the post-cabinet press briefing. So, Minister, you must have moved the room. Thank you very much for that. Minister Montoute, I'll now invite you to make some opening remarks.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mrs. Delma Thomas, Minister for Social Development, Housing and Community Development. Mrs. Veronica Charles, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Community Development. My Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Velda Joseph, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Empowerment and Local Government in St. Lucia. Mrs. Buckmeyer, Program Manager of the Support for Education, Empowerment and Development SEEDS Program. Staff from both ministries, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I also want to give special mention to my communications team who has traveled with us. And ladies and gentlemen, let me say a pleasant good morning to all. Certainly a pleasure already being here in Grenada. Having got in late last night, I have not done or seen much, but I must say I'm pleased with what I have seen so far, and I must admit that I have already learned quite a bit just having met with my colleague minister, my counterpart. First, in St. Lucia, social protection policies historically have formed a significant part of the socio-economic development policy menu of our government. And that has been so since independence. And by the way, we are celebrating our independence like you did on the 22nd of February, that is later this month. And unlike you, though, we are celebrating our 40th. We are a little behind you in that regard as well, not just in social safety net. Okay. So, well, notwithstanding government's obvious commitment to social development in St. Lucia, in particular, the goal of eradicating poverty, if one judges these efforts in terms of the poverty head count figures, that is, the number of St. Lucians who actually live below the country's subjective poverty line, relative to the overall population, one would have to partially admit that, to a large extent, the policies, institutions, and programs developed to achieve these deliverables have underperformed. Data from successive country poverty assessment highlight the persistent stubbornness of St. Lucia's poverty headcount, which has remained protractedly high at an average of 25% of the population over the past 2 to 3 decades. This inertia in St. Lucia's poverty figures is symptomatic of a deeply entrenched systemic and structurally persistent integrational poverty situation among 25% of households in St. Lucia. It is worth noting that while no significant gains have been recorded in reduction of poverty figures, the government of St. Lucia has and continues to allocate a substantial share of its limited resources, estimated at about $34 million, at poverty reduction efforts. While several reasons can be advanced for this less than satisfactory ability of social safety net programs to meaningfully and sustainably lift poor households out of poverty, 6 stand out to mind. 1, the inadequate targeting framework, which leads to both errors of inclusion and errors of exclusion. This means that although social safety net programs are available, non-poor households are accessing a substantial share at the expense of the poor. Number 2, the chronic fragmentation of the social protection sector, which creates the right conditions for exploitation of the system through non-poor households accessing the social safety net programs, and in some instances, double-dipping and triple-dipping by the sophisticated poor who exploit the information asymmetry derived from fragmentation. The third is the mismatch between the actual deprivation and interventions provided. While it is easy to simply transfer monies to household, each household has unique deprivations, be it health, education, housing, and in some cases, domestic issues, which stymies their ability to breaking through the vicious cycle of poverty. The fourth would be the quantum of resources provided to the poor household, and that is very often not sufficient to lift them out of poverty. In addition, in many instances, poor households are in need of multiple interventions if they are to break the cycle of poverty. 5, poor are not incentivized to invest in their assets, and that is their human capital, through education of both adults and children when it comes to health. And lastly, the lack of focus on the integrating of poor households into the wider economy via labor markets or micro-enterprise initiatives. Both St. Lucia and Grenada, along with St. Kitts, were beneficiaries of a UNICEF-funded social safety net assessment in 2009 by Dr. Lorraine Blanc. Similar characteristics in the social protection systems were noted for both countries in the assessment. These include fragmentation of the social safety net system and a poor targeting mechanism. As one would expect, the recommendation emanated out of both reports was similar in nature. The development of a social protection strategy, the consolidation and rationalization of major social programs, development of central beneficiary registry, and the development of a proper targeting instrument, to name a few, and refining the systems to include conditions to accessing social assistance as a means of incentivizing poor households to invest in their human capital. The government of Grenada has managed to a large extent to implement the reforms to their social safety net sector via the Support for Education Empowerment Program, SEEDS, a feat which is commendable, and the government of St. Lucia and the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Empowerment, and Local Government would like to congratulate Grenada for a job well done. Notwithstanding the fact that St. Lucia has adopted some of the recommendations, notably the development of a social protection policy, a social protection action plan, a draft social protection bill, and a targeting instrument, the reform process have moved slower than was initially anticipated, largely due to competing national priorities. However, Grenada's success has reignited hope that the reform is certainly possible. Hence, the reason for this contingent from St. Lucia being here today. The contingent will be understudying the SEED program to better understand the intricacies and nuances that must be considered if such a reform is to come to fruition. It will also provide the contingent an opportunity to learn lessons, both good and bad, that could possibly impact St. Lucia's social protection reform agenda. It will also afford the team the opportunity to see the SEED program in action. In addition, it must be noted that this tour is twofold, and the team will also be visiting the Bacolet Juvenile Center to tour the facility and to meet with the management team with a view to understanding how the center functions, but most importantly, to gain greater appreciation of how Grenada would have converted a school plant into a juvenile residential facility. For St. Lucia, this issue of providing a modernized juvenile facility for both boys and girls, which reflects international best practices and are in compliance with international treaties such as the Convention on the Rights of the Child, has been a top priority for us. In addition, in November 2018, the government of St. Lucia enacted the Child Justice Act, which speaks to and which mandates the state to provide safe and rehabilitative centers with programs for both boys and girls. At the moment, we have a facility for boys, but we do not have a residential facility for girls. And also, I think, strategically, we can look at our current situation in the sense that our birth rate has declined quite a lot in the last few years in St. Lucia, resulting in a decrease in the number of students who attend schools and giving rise to the consideration for shutting down some of our schools in St. Lucia. And that provides us with a golden opportunity to emulate your example by converting perhaps one of those schools to a facility. However, access to adequate property to do just this in the past was a stumbling block. At the same time, St. Lucia has noted a significant decline, as I said, in our student population, and we are hoping that, like you, we can use a school plant to house both boys and girls, and one that provides us with the space required to have the kind of programs that will be important and necessary for them. In closing, on behalf of the government of St. Lucia and the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Empowerment and Local Government, I would like to thank the government of Grenada, Minister the Honorable Delma Thomas, Permanent Secretary Mrs. Veronica Charles, Mrs. Book, the SEED Program Manager, and the staff from the Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Community Development for agreeing to facilitate us on this study tour and in this South-South knowledge sharing initiative. We are confident that with your help, our sister Isle of Grenada, St. Lucia will be able in the not too distant future to finalize its own social safety net reform agenda. And once again, I thank you in advance. Thank you very much for the assistance that you will be and guidance that you'll be providing us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Montoute. I will now open the floor to questions from members of the media who are present. Do we have any questions? Identify yourself and the name of your media house, as is customary, before you pose your question.
Good morning. Akisha Felix, the Grenada Broadcasting Network. You mentioned that there's an appeal process in the event that you're not successful. So what is the duration? How long would it take for a case to be appealed again, since it's computed?
Okay, good morning, everybody. Because we have just begun the full implementation of SEED, we have not had many cases to be addressed, but we would have addressed some of the cases. The appeals committee was appointed by Cabinet and consists of representatives from our partnering ministries of education and health, and we do have persons from other community-based organizations on that appeals committee. The committee would have had 4 meetings so far and would have attended to in excess of 30 appeals that they would have all overruled. Based on what Minister alluded to, that we do have persons who are asset-rich and income poor. So obviously, when those cases were looked at, we saw I'm the secretary to that committee as the SEED manager, and saw the need for those persons to be enrolled into the SEED program. We are now looking at, for the full implementation of SEED, expanding this committee to have 3 committees that would be more efficient in terms of addressing the cases. So this is high priority on our agenda at this time, reconstituting the committees so that we would have 3 to better serve the country, because we realize it's overwhelming for one committee. So that's the situation thus far. Thank you.
Okay, just a bit of an observation. Persons receiving the seed benefits, right? Okay, so you said that there is an assessment. What happens to if you're qualified, but you don't need the money? You know, there are some people who use the state and its resources, but, you know, because of their financial situation, yes, they might not be working, but at the end of the month, when they receive the money, it's not being used for the child or the benefit of the household, so to speak. So how are you going to address that issue? Because I'm from Grenville and I've seen it.
It's conditional cash transfer. So we have school truancy officers, for example, for children who's not going to school to report to us. So even the principal or the teachers from the school can report. But even you who saw that can report also. Because if you saw that and we do not have the information that you have, then it means that they will continue to get. But we, because it's conditional, they have their responsibilities. So we have responsibilities as the government, and the persons who are receiving also have their responsibilities, and therefore, if we identify, I mean, it's not going to just take them out like that. We have to assess and find out exactly what the issues are. Sometimes the issues are deeper than what we see on the outside. So we have to examine, maybe get counselors, get our social workers involved to understand what exactly those issues are and deal with it accordingly. Because if children are not going to school, then we have to ensure that the children attend school. So we'll have to work with the families to see what exactly those issues are and address them.
Okay, final question for you, Minister. Okay, so the St. Andrews Development Committee, in a recent postcab, we had Minister Pear and Minister Cox, who stated that, you know, a committee needs to be formed. And in a recent post that you would have made, I see that you guys were at Belmont, so can we just get a little update as to, you know, the progress and so on for that committee?
Well, you said a committee have to be formed, and I believe at that time we already had a committee. So we have the councils of ministers, which involve 4 of us, but we also have other members of the community as it relates to education, health, agriculture, culture, whole diverse among different persons who are involved in St. Andrews are part of that committee. The committee will be launched within, I think we are looking at, we was looking at the 23rd, realizing that Prime Minister would not be there. We are looking to change the date to have it before. So that date will be given to the media very soon. In recent time, we have met with the newly executive of the St. Andrews Cricket League. We know St. Andrews, the big parish, we are noted for sports, and there have been a new executive elected there. We met with them last week. We have also met with persons who are involved in the health sector. We understand that there are a lot of challenges as it relates to health, and we want to be able to work to provide better facilities, better service for the people of St. Andrews, St. Patrick's, St. Max, who access the Princess Alice Hospital, also the clinics, because we have the clinics, and we know one of the issues we have is that the doctors come maybe for half day. We want to provide better service as it relates to health. Education, we want to be able to work along with education. Rural tourism or community tourism, we are looking at a site in each constituency to start. For example, in my area, we're looking at the Claboni, then we have the Pause Strip, there's one, Mount Carmel, I think. So there are 4 sites that we are looking to develop within St. Andrews. So even the issue of Rainbow City, we met with the persons, Sedu, who are responsible for Rainbow City. We met with the person in charge of the Rainbow City All-Stars. So we are meeting with key organizations within the parish to see how better can we assist in solving those problems of St. Andrews. One of the issues we also identify is nightlife. After the stores close, Grenville really dead. So we are looking to have a small committee that will make Grenville very lively, like St. George's and the other area. So we are working collaboratively to deal with many and several of those issues. The issue of Grenville is a great one. The whole street and all that, sidewalks for elderly citizens and all that, these are things that we are looking at. And you will appreciate the fact that this is a huge undertaking, and we will not be able to achieve everything one time, but we are striving to do some at a time. We're looking at the cultural center in Simon to start for this year. So it's a huge task. But you will get more information when we launch later on this month.
Okay, final.
Thank you very much, Minister Thomas. I just want to encourage us to stay on topic. We do have visitors this morning, and we're here specifically talking about the SEED program and the Grand Bacoleta Juvenile Center. So let us try to stay on focus. If there are questions that you need addressed, you can channel them through me, and I will ensure that you have answers. But just for this morning, please let's stay on topic. Thanks.
Okay, good morning, Minister, and to the rest of the table. I'm Christelina John, Grenada Broadcasting Network. You spoke of the Grand Bacolet Rehabilitation Center as a means of even helping St. Lucia to adopt a program, you know, and similar nature. There were concerns raised recently, though, regarding management at the center. Persons who are employed there, are they fully qualified to manage the persons that they take care of within the center? There were concerns raised regarding that. Can you really clarify?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what concerns were raised about the center, because what I do know, we have qualified persons, we have social workers, we have psychologists, we have counselors, so we have trained persons in different fields for the job that they have to undertake at the center. So I'm not sure exactly who is not qualified and what are the issues really.
Okay. The issues that was raised regarding that is in terms of control of the young people, that they perhaps have too much freedom, if I might put it as simple as that, you know, at the centers.
I would not be able to answer this question since it's the first time I'm hearing it. I've not heard that before, that they have too much freedom. I know they have classes, I know they have other sessions, they also involved in technical and other work, and they have counseling sessions and other sessions, some go to school. So I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Maybe it's something I could investigate to get more information.
Good morning. If I could come in here. As with every organization, once it's new, there would be some teething issues. With the Grand Bacolet facility, we know it has been open. It was open in 2016, and it is a work in progress. We have, as a ministry, we have made strides in strengthening what happens at Bacolet. Last year, April, government took a decision to make the center, give it some autonomy. So we have the center now being controlled by a board of directors instead of being under the ministry directly, where we have to go through the bureaucratic process to get the processing of information and to buy services. And so now it is happening quickly, because now they do have they get a monthly subvention and they're able to pay and buy whatever services that are needed. You mentioned regarding the programs at the center. What we've done, we've made efforts to strengthen the management capacity of the center. We now have a general manager who has full responsibility for managing the organization. We also have now placed on board a program manager who is responsible for developing programs, specifically doing monitoring and evaluation for the center. As we speak now, we do have some of our staff members. We have 5 persons who are in Barbados right now receiving training in aggression replacement therapy right? And we've run cycles of these programs at the Bacalest facility. What we want to do now is to expand it throughout the country. We, later on this month, we will also receive training in child-adolescent development, and this is being provided through the Juvenile Justice Reform Project. This is not happening only for Grenada. It is happening for St. Lucia also, because we're part of the whole regional integration process, and this is happening through the project, Juvenile Justice Reform Project by the USAID OECS. So from time to time, we will continue to have the training I sit on the board, and we are in the process of looking at all of the issues, you know, as you raise your concern, we take the notes of it, and we try to see how best we can strengthen the organization. But presently, we do have a lot. We've received now the okay to go ahead with a lot of the training that USAID would have implemented as a project. We should have been having USAID here with us this morning, but because of the US shutdown, they were not able to be with us here today. They would have been part of the whole press conference. We hopefully that when we do have them later on this month or next month, that we have the same persons to ask all the questions, because we will be receiving support for the center and for juvenile justice through the USAID project.
Okay, a related question though, since the establishment of the institution, have there been anybody who has been reintegrated into society, and do you find the program working since its implementation?
Yes, we continually had persons being reintegrated back into society. It is only last month there was a training, a forum in Guyana, and one of our students who would have gone through the program at Bacalet, he represented Grenada in Guyana. And the feedback we had is that this child would have brought them to tears, the whole forum, because, you know, he was able to explain what he would have learned and how the system at Bacalet would have changed his life. What we are seeing happening now is that there are some children, because they came from dysfunctional families, they want to remain at the center. They do not want to go back home. Yeah, we've had, and we're working now with the authorities to see how we can create some sort of agreement that these children will be able to remain, if it's for a month or two, to finish their program, because you can't hold them beyond, you know, the time that the court would have given them to stay. But if we could have agreement with parents so they will be able to finish their education, finish whatever programs they are involved in at the center. And we've seen more and more of this happening.
Rikisha St. Louis, Government Information Service. This question is to you, Minister Montu. Considering your situation in St. Lucia with the decline in your student population, how effective do you see the adoption of the SEED program being in your country?
While we have a reduction in our population, especially among the young, we still have our fair share of social problems with juveniles. And so, well, we have some institutions in place, we have some programs in place, but we recognize that they are woefully inadequate, and as such, it is our quest through our juvenile reform program to address some of those situations and to alleviate the situation that we face. So I have no doubt in my mind that perhaps looking at the program that you have implemented here, that it can assist us in, you know, realizing our objective of improving the situation among our juveniles. I mean, to talk about the reduction in the youth population, the student population, I mean, that is a reality, but that does not mean that we don't have our fair share of young people in St. Lucia. I mean, unfortunately, in the 80s, we went on a campaign, and that was family planning and asking people to read, because we felt which I think was a mistake, by the way. We felt that our population was growing too rapidly, and we had a successful campaign But again, I guess as is the case in many of our OACS islands, research and data collection is not at an optimum, and which means we should have realized that that would be the case in a few years' time. And what we went about doing is building more schools, because we had a shift system at one time because of the number of students, and now we have the reverse situation where we are looking to close down schools. And I think having invested in those facilities, we can use that infrastructure that already exists for a good cause in terms of doing something similar to what you did. And I mean, hopefully you who had gone before us would be able to share with us some of the experiences, maybe the positives and even the pitfalls.
What is my next question? What is...
Can we simply allow the Permanent Secretary to make a
sure.
quick remark here, and then we'll take your question. Pierre?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Just to add to what Minister Montut has said, the Social Safety Net Reform Project in St. Lucia is not specifically targeted towards the education sector. The program really seeks to look at the services, the social services that we offer currently, and there are many of them. They've been offered across sectors, across government ministries, and we are looking to see how best we can harmonize these programs for efficiency and effectiveness. So the Juvenile Justice Reform Program and the fact that we're looking to have a residential facility for both boys and girls is just one small aspect of a wider program looking at social safety net reform in St. Lucia. We are understudying what Grenada has done, but we recognize that there would be need for adaptations, for modification to suit our own context in St. Lucia.
Thank you. Can you give us an idea, Minister, as to what is currently happening now? You have a facility for boys, but you do not have one for girls. Is it that you don't have any female juvenile offenders?
Well, we do. Actually, to say that we do not have a facility for girls will not be totally correct. We do not have a residential facility for girls. And so, as a result, they go back to the same environment, where the problem stems from initially. So we are thinking that it will be a better situation to have a residential facility for those who need it. Of course, we have the facility for boys, and that we can improve upon. And because of where it is located, for some of the programs that we want to implement at the facility is not ideally located. It is in the heart of a residential area. And so we're hoping that, as we move forward, whatever facility that is chosen is one that can lend itself better to the programs that we would want to implement.
Finally, following your study tour here, your week in Grenada, what time frame do you have in mind to remodel your system?
Well, I'm sure my PS would give you a different one to me. I'm a politician. As a politician, my time frame would certainly be different. But seriously, we are hoping that within the next couple of years that we can make some serious strides in ensuring that we address some of the problems that we are now facing. And of course, it is a work in progress. I know that we require quite a lot of resources that has to be expended in terms of putting the structures in place. But we are hoping that as we move forward, with the changes in our legislation, with the adoption of new approaches, new projects, we will find the resources necessary to ensure that we expedite the process. Now, the reason why we chose to come to Grenada, actually, we got two recommendations, Jamaica and Grenada as models. But of course, you would appreciate that Grenada would be far more similar to our situation. And even then, we know that there may be adaptations that we would have to make. But we felt, not only that you're closer to us, our similarities, would be far more, your situation would be far more akin to what obtains in St. Lucia. And so we felt that this would be a better situation for us to understudy.
Do we have any further questions? Okay, so in closing, ministers and permanent secretaries and seed program manager, I'll just invite each of you to make some brief closing comments just in wrap up. Minister, I would like you, Minister Thomas, I would like you specifically to underscore the significance of this for us in Grenada, the fact that St. Lucia is here to look at our program. It means that we are leaders in what we're doing. We know that in terms of our economy, we're leading the region in terms of growth. Now So it's great news to hear this morning that St. Lucia is looking to emulate something that we are doing. So speak to us about what this means for government at this time.
Well, I want to say that not only St. Lucia is looking to us, but there are many other OECS countries. So St. Lucia is the first in a number of countries line up to come to Grenada to understudy our seed program. We have Antigua and a number of other countries, the OECS. In fact, even the World Bank has invited us on a number of initiatives abroad to speak to what is happening in Grenada as it relates to our social protection reform program. So we are in a good place, working to serve the most vulnerable persons among us. You know, I'm happy to be the minister with responsibility for social development, housing, and community development at this time, whereby in the region and in the world we are looked at as a model, and therefore as a government we'll continue to do what it takes. We'll continue to work along with families despite of political affiliation, and this is a key part, because the program as it is now doesn't look at color, and the truth is poverty doesn't look at color, and at the end of the day God is asking us what color we supported when he comes. So we're preparing for the bigger picture, as I said earlier. So we are serving humanity in Grenada, and therefore I told my minister counterpart, my counterpart minister earlier, that that's what he should be looking at, and that's what it will be hard at first, since because those small island states like Grenada, there are this tribalism where once I support NNP or I support your party, it's about our time. But when you're in government, you have to be looking at after everyone who needs assistance, and therefore the seed program with the whole new reform looks at everyone who needs government assistance. So St. Lucia, you are looking at a great program to assist the most vulnerable people within your country, and at the end it will pay out. It will pay out beyond politics. When God comes, you'll be able to be answerable.
Thank you very much, Minister Thomas. Minister Montouk, your final comments?
First, let me start off by saying the reason why I was not allowed to come alone is to ensure that I do not just take the political aspects of things. But I want to commend Grenada once again for the work that you have done, certainly. I mean, very often we look outward to others for the examples that we need, whereas among us, very often, you know, we are trendsetters, we are world leaders, and so we recognize Grenada for the effort that they have put forward us in that regard. And like my colleague minister indicated, you are highly recommended by the World Bank and other funding agencies, CDB and all of them. And so we decided, well, the closer to home the better, you know. And so we recognize what you have done here, and we are here to learn from what you have done, to emulate from your example, and to streamline our program and ensure we adapt it to our unique situation in St. Lucia. So I want to thank you for having us over here in Grenada. We look forward to not just the raw program, but like I indicated in my previous presentation, that we want to find out, learn all the intricacies and nuances. In other words, not leave out any of the spice.
Permanent Secretaries are Joseph and Charles.
Okay. For us at the Ministry of Social Development, we see it as a great opportunity for us. So it is not just St. Lucia receiving, but we are also at the receiving end. It is an opportunity for regional integration and the harmonization of the work that we do. It is our hope, because we have learned from Jamaica, right? And it's our hope that at the end of it all, we have this common targeting tool. We are already working with SmartStream as one of the tools used within the public service across the region. Here we are with our management information system that we can work with across the OECS. We have the same developmental partners working with the OECS, working with our various islands. When we first started, it was UNICEF who brought all the islands together in Grenada to start the work. And here we are again. reviewing. So we see opportunities for resource mobilization to strengthen what we have and to make what we have one of the best practices for the region. We encourage the knowledge sharing and South-South cooperation, that we shouldn't be always going to reinvent the wheel, but we should work and share together. So whatever we have, as you realize, Minister is preaching a gospel. So it's one love. That's what we want to do. So whatever we have here, we want to share with St. Lucia. So when our time comes, we will go to St. Lucia and we ask questions, and we'll be able to make the whole process easier. We save money in the end, and it gives us as a ministry an opportunity to do continuous monitoring and evaluation. This is a weakness not only in Grenada but across the region. So we have an opportunity to do ongoing monitoring and evaluation of our seed program. We encourage the same thing in St. Lucia, that you do the continuous monitoring and evaluation of whatever social protection programs you have. And through this relationship, it could just get better. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish to join my minister in commending Grenada for an excellent program, and I also wish to thank you profoundly on behalf of the ministry for facilitating this study tour of your program within, of course, South-South cooperation, as you indicated, but more importantly, as a means of information exchange and knowledge exchange. As I indicated earlier, since 2009-10, we conceptualized the St. Lucia Social Safety Net Reform Initiative. That program, regrettably, although we did a couple of things, we did the policy, we had the targeting mechanism, but regrettably, we have not progressed or advanced as we intended. And so we look at this as an opportunity to move forward with purpose. As the ministry now looks at a very deliberate and a very targeted and purposeful approach in moving social safety net reform, our social safety net reform agenda, we believe that we could learn quite a lot from Grenada. As I put it, you have walked the path before us, and so you can provide us with some very useful guidance going forward. Coming out of here, we expect that whatever we learn here, it will assist us in considering the critical or the prerequisites for successful program, a successful social protection initiative, and we believe that we can immediately, of course with adaptations, implement some of the programs that we are looking to implement. Right out of this meeting, I've had discussions with our Deputy Director of Research. We intend to put together a core team to drive the process forward. We intend very shortly, I heard your question earlier, we intend very shortly to have our operations manual. We are looking to have the Central Beneficiary Registry as well as the MIS in operation. And so we really, with purpose, want to move forward with this initiative. Coming back to the ministry about a month ago, I was saying to my colleague here that this has been around for too long. Social safety net reform has been around for a few years now, and we need to ensure that all of the pillars that we had conceptualized from 2010, thereabout, that we can advance these and make sure that we provide the services to our clients that we really intend to offer. And so we really want to thank you for allowing us to understudy your program and to interact with you. As my colleague, Permanent Secretary said, I look at it as an opportunity for exchange. We learn from you, but there are certain things that we have done that we are also very willing to share with you. And so we can move forward as a region, as an OECS region, but as a broader Caribbean region, as we look to help the most vulnerable among us. So thank you very much to all of you. Thank you, Minister. I have to make special mention of your ministry for arranging and making sure that we arrive safely and we have a program that we could work with. Thank you so much.
Ms. Buckmeyer, the final word would be yours. That's the scene manager.
Thank you very much. I wish to applaud the minister and his team from St. Lucia for that initiative. I consider this a demonstration of your desire to reform your safety net program in St. Lucia. This is, in my opinion, very progressive because it has the possibilities, it is full of potential for impacting positively on your vulnerable community. And so, as a ministry and as manager of the SEED program, it is our delight and pleasure to have you, to host you here, and to share our experiences, and they have been rich ones, interesting ones. We have some really interesting anecdotes to share. And so I want to pledge our commitment to working with you, extending that hand of partnership that social protection thrives on. We cannot do it alone. Social protection thrives on partnership. And so I promise you an enriching experience. And I hope that out of this study tour, we are going to strengthen our relationship so that together we can impact the region. Thank you very much for being here, and we look forward to a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all at the head table. I certainly feel very proud, very honored as a Grenadian, particularly, you know, as we just celebrated the 45th anniversary of our independence, that we are able to guide and to share these experiences with our Caribbean neighbors right next door in St. Lucia, on a matter that really affects the vulnerable among us, those that we need to protect and to provide for in society. So I am really blessed and really heartened to be part of this here this morning, and I'm sure Minister, Permanent Secretary, and other visiting delegates that you will have a great experience in Grenada going through what the program offers. You know, we're here, but we may not appreciate the real value of what we have, Minister. And just listening to, you know, things that are said this morning, I think we have a lot of work to do in blowing our trumpet. I think we have a lot to talk about where social protection of the vulnerable is concerned. So kudos to you, Minister. Welcome to the visiting team. Happy Independence when the 22nd comes. And I trust that you will have an enjoyable visit. I think before we wrap up, there are a couple presentations that will be made. So I will leave the floor for that to now take place.
So on behalf of the government, the Ministry of Social Development, the people of Grenada, we want to share with you some of our Grenada spices so that you will come back. So I know you are here just for work and have to run soon, but I'm inviting you back to beautiful Grenada to enjoy the Spice Island.
Thank you very much.
Okay. On behalf of the staff of the Ministry of Social Development, we want to present to you T.S. Velder.
Certainly, this has been a post-cabinet press briefing with a difference. Thank you to one and all. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
Singing the same song again. What kind of song I'll be singing? Know that you're reaching the final. Do not get sweated at all. Rootsman sing the same. You know that your music is special. Real uplifting, calypso spiritual. To free the people from their mental shame. Rise them up from out of the gutter. Rise them up out of poverty. Rise them up. Please don't let them suffer. Rise them up. Set my people free. Rise them up from humiliation. Rise them up. Hunger and frustration. Rise them up. Mr. Calypsonian. Rise them up. It's your obligation. You know the good seed you sow and fertile soil will be growing as green as grass. Cause every word that the prophet had prophesied, it shall surely come to pass. Cause if you walk up and sweat in my vineyard, by your sweat you shall eat your bread. And once you satisfy all the criteria, we gon' put a crown on your head. For the same song again, a spiritual song again, the same song again, a lyrical song again, a singing the same song again, a melodious song again, the same song again, a calypso. Yeah, 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 yeah. Never forget where you come from. Don't think you're better than no one. I'm giving you the same kind of advice again. Remember you're poor and you're needy, but don't ever try to be greedy. Greed does bring on misfortune and pain. Just rise them up from total destruction. Rise them up from illiteracy. Rise them up. Join some kind of program. Go to university. She offers you a master's or a bachelor's, an associate degree. Discover your talent.
And good morning to Grenada, Carriacou, and the Petit Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, the Grenadine Islands, wherever you're listening to us this fine Grenadian morning. We say a special one to ya. Yeah, my name is Sheldon.
I'm Devon Romain.
Alrighty. And we are live on 97.5 as we have been for the last hour and a half.
89.5 CRFM.
92.9 Sister Isle Radio out there in Carriacou, preparing for Kayak Mass 2019. Huh? Yeah.
Melee. Drag something. 94.9 WeiVybz Radio in Brooklyn, out there in New York.
Yeah, the one that picture we see just now, I think that says it all. Yeah, killer singing in Trinidad and somebody have a car door.
A car door.
Yeah, they pull out, they take something and run with it, so they take out the car door.
And moving with it.
Yeah, I see a video this morning, the guy was in the car and the song come on, he root out the car seat and he run with the car seat.
Leave the car and run.
He take out the seat of the car, he actually take out the seat from the car and he run with it.
Yeah. Yo, I'm appealing to the ladies out there. Be careful, because when some of you guys and girls get things, they will just lift somebody up and just move with them.
Dress for the occasion.
Dress for the occasion.
That's all I had to say.
Once Mr. Killer is around, dress for the occasion.
Fellas, also, it could consider assault if you just pick up people and run with them.
Run with them, They may not like it.
Drunk or sober, mind your business,
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah, drunk or sober, mind your business. It's assault. No, serious. It's a serious thing there.
No, it is.
You could be charged for assault. You just pick up a woman or a man and you run with them.
Just run with them.
You could actually be charged for assault. So, I mean, we're Grenadians. We like to enjoy ourselves, and if it was a friend of ours, we don't just pick up strangers and run with them. One of our friends, we pick them up and we run. The 14 for 3, that's the latest score with the West Indies.
Keep it coming, Depot.
14 for 3. 14 for 3.
I realize we had it.
It's a fight. It's a fight. I ain't conceding yet, this West Indies. Fight.
I know.
Only fight up, Papa. Fight up. Yeah, fight up.
Oh, boy. Hola. Don't worry, man. You'll be back.
Yeah, do all kind of thing to
try to break we spirit, but we go tear them up in the one days and the ODIs and the T20.
Yeah, shaking the bowlie and things.
Yeah. They come down in Grenada. Two of them they getting mashed up down here.
Devon, everybody's seeing. When I say everybody, I'm seeing quite a few people complaining of that flu that's going around. So, folks. It's important for you to ensure that you keep yourself healthy. So for those of you that may have the flu, could you please avoid traveling on public transport, like unless it's really necessary. could you avoid having to go on the bus? And then for those of you that are using the public transport, now I know the bus drivers, and I know the vast majority of them, people like Rex and Ram and Uncle Fluff.
And Stan Lee.
Yeah, Old Dog. All these guys and them, when they have the bus, and you see they go and they park up in the back, they just take the time and sanitize the bus. Yeah, you see them, you miss them for a while, it's because they're wiping down. And they clean the bus and everything. So by the time you come to fill the bus afterwards, it is already sanitized. Yeah? So for the bus drivers that may not follow that kind of route, yeah, please take some time and sanitize your bus. You see, the road doesn't always do it.
No.
Because they're constantly on the road.
Yeah.
So they doesn't get the time. Although some of them in Grenada just do it, so sometimes they pull in by Cameron Park or somewhere.
Spend a 15 minutes.
Yeah, they take a little wipe down.
And just eat, you know.
Yeah, they take a little wipe down and so.
And that is good.
With some disinfectant and so to kill the germs.
We must encourage that.
Yeah, but still, we avoid that now, you all. Those of you that do have the flu and thing, try to avoid, unless it's really necessary. Going on the bus and sneezing and coughing and
walk, walk with a rag and so you sneeze. The whole thing you always have a hand sanitizer.
We want to run with that.
You know, that sort of thing, you know.
So like you had a cold and you had your nose and you just say run with it? No,
we didn't try to run with that at all.
We good.
Lead that one way day.
Yeah, we ain't what I want. Alright? Alright, propose? Nice. Yeah, so if you had a cold. Also, let me give an early notice because you know Hard Talk, we care about you. So we want to give you an early notice or something. Now, they have noticed in the Eastern Atlantic, they have noticed a significant concentration of Sahara desert dust. What that means is that by weekend, there is a likelihood, a 50% chance or so, hovering around 50% chance, that the southern Caribbean would be inundated with this dust. It causes several things. Yeah, we just get some pretty sunset when you had the dust, When you have the dust, because it's dust and it's made up of these type of crystals that they have in sand. I'm trying to remember the type of crystals anyway. But it's made up of these crystals, and so when you have the sunset, they tend to make some really brilliant sunsets. So you see the sunset looking kind of orange and red, and you have a green flash and all these things taking place when the sun is setting. So you have some wonderful sunsets. But for those of us that have various respiratory illnesses, like for instance, I have asthma. I also suffer with sinusitis. Yeah, from time to time you all could hear it in my voice. Yeah, but for those people who suffer from sinuses, those people that suffer from asthma and other respiratory ailments, have your medication on hand. It's important that you have your medication on hand. Yeah, and keep it with you. Right? The general hospital, usually they get notification from NADMA that these sort of things also on. So they make sure they are on alert for when the asthma cases start coming in and that kind of thing. Once I ever end up getting the injection, and that nurse give me an injection. When I see the needle come in, I say, nurse, that you're going to use? She say, yes, that. I say, sure, is that you're going to use? She say, yeah, that I'm going to use. What? You never take the injection before?
You look at a ball afraid injection, boy.
Man, watch. I see the woman going to needle the thing big like a cocaine flex.
But the thing is that little prick, Sheldon.
But you, one fella that afraid prick is me.
You can't go and take blood, man.
Take?
Or give blood.
I give blood already?
By force?
I give blood. No, man. I went and give blood, man. No. When it comes to those kind of things, wherever fear it is, you put it aside and you do what you have to do.
It's
so I've given blood several times. Yeah. The only thing is I have a kind of rare blood type. So
you have some people or some trauma. Time they see a needle, man. Some people faint, you know.
Now, I ain't to that stage, but I find that needle was looking kind of menacing. So when she was going, I said, that you're going to use? You sure you ain't going to put a next smaller one in that to use?
That size. You have some big ones.
I'll take my injection like a man. Yeah. So for those of you that suffer from various ailments, please get your medication. You know you have to get your Ventolin and your Becotide. And for those of you that suffer with sinuses, there is Claritin D, and there's Claritin D, there's Clarinase, and so on, that can help you deal with the sinuses and so on, especially Claritin D. I tend to use Claritin D. It's very helpful. It doesn't make you drowsy and that sort of thing. So for those of you that, no, me ain't no doctor, and still check with your doctor.
Yeah.
But I'm saying what is over the counter and works for me. Claritin D works for me. If I get stuffy because I have the sinuses are acting up, I use that. It's usually cleared up within a few minutes. You can't tell that my nose might be running and all sorts of things. It clears it up within a few minutes. That's Claritin D. But for those of you that use your Becotide and use your Ventolin, the asthma sufferers know what I'm talking about, the brown one and the blue one, get yours, keep it close. Yeah, because if that dust inundates us over the weekend, you know it's going to trigger attacks.
Yeah, definitely.
It will trigger attacks. So keep it close. You have children, you know your children suffer with that. Check the expiry date on your medication, because sometimes you have your Ventolin, you have your Becotide, and you're not checking the expiry date. And then by the time emergency and you grab for it, then you realize, wait, now that expired since last year, you know. Yeah, it expired since last year. So double check on that. All right, folks?
Also to good morning to all listening, viewing and live, listening via different radio stations. Also to NAWASA has continuously given updates and so on concerning the impending dry season that that we're going through. And so, but it's very important as Grenadians, and for we pay attention to the collection of water, storage, all these things, because it's very important. We do not want to reach in a situation where water is low, we don't have in the house through the pipe, and there's no containers fill as backup. We do not want to be caught off guard. Right? So I'm appealing to all householders, right? Whatever containers you have, large containers, drums and so, sanitize them, ensure that they clean and store water, right? You know the ones that you're supposed to be using for drinking, right? And others for the collection of water so you can flush your toilet, you can wash, and so, and perhaps wet plants, in and between. And so, so it's very important. Let us follow NAWASA as they give the information and so concerning, what is going on around now, the shortage of water and so on, and for the health, thing, what it can cause when there is a lack of water. And so, usually in the dry season, we tend to see the increase of mosquito, all right, and especially the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
I was heading through the Woodlands area. I went and checked out my good friend on the spot. Realized that he have a shipment of water tanks. So those of you that need to get your water tanks, could check on the spot. You could also check Hubbards. Hubbards, you could check
M&N.
M&N, you could check M&N.
Purcell, I think, carries.
Purcell, I believe Purcell does have.
Road,
Bread, you have water tanks down there?
I know.
Bread, just in case you do have get, because people will come for it, because we tell them go buy for.
Yeah, because it's very important, and so, and remember, in those containers, those drums that you store water in, ensure that it's covered properly. Covered properly, right? And depend on the time, the limit, and so every so often you open it, and so you can put a little bit of bleach in it, and so once it's not drinking purpose, a little bleach in it to kind of keep it a little bit, fresh and lively up, and keep away some of perhaps the escaping mosquito that went in and create a little larva, and so the bleach may be able to neutralize them, and so.
There's a
so we must pay attention.
There's a specific measurement.
Yeah.
But folks, outside of that, and some people may see me pass with my car and the car looking dusty and dirty and that kind of thing. No, you have to conserve water.
You have to. Go by the river.
You have to conserve water. So if you know you used to wash down the car every day, don't go in the river now. Don't go there. But if you know you used to wash down the car every day, do it every other day. Or do it 3 times a week. Or something.
Don't you know, Sheldon, that the water in the river is much better to wash your car with than the water coming out from the tap?
Yeah, but I still know people go in the river and do it, because when they do that, then the oil and the gas from below the car and the chemicals that you use in the soap and so end up in the river. That's going to end up the little bit of irrigation that some fellas lower down the river might have. They had the irrigation pipe to water the crops. They're taking that old oil. Yes, we're Grenadians, we like old oil, but not what we eating. Yeah, so you get your old oil and the gasoline and so. That leaks into the river system, the water system. and then they're going to end up with that on the crops.
Well,
Or
the
the person who may end up in a situation, according to where you are,
well, that's
the
what I'm
person
about
who
to
end up
tell
in a
you.
situation where they have to use that as drinking water.
What about
End
tell
up
you?
in a worse situation.
But there is basically nowhere. Well, there may be one or two areas where the vehicle can go down in the river. You jog the water in buckets and so, and you wash your vehicle.
How the river does get the water is run off. So once you do that at the side, even though you see it disappear into the ground, it's into the same river it going. No, I'm telling you, it's into the same river it going.
But as a point though, in terms of better water to wash your vehicles and so, always better to use the river water. But you got, as Sheldon said, you got to be careful as to where you utilize it, where you use it, and everything like that, and so on.
In fact, it's something that I think we speak about the environment. It's something that we have to look at. How we deal with that runoff water. You know, just this morning, strange enough, just this morning, a thought was going through my head. Right now we have Juve takes place for St. George. Juve takes place on the Kirani James Boulevard. What happens to all that old oil when we finish?
Most of it in the sea.
Yeah, and then what happens to the reefs that are out there that usually protect that area? Because if it wasn't for the reefs that are out there, you would have a different flow of water heading into that area, into the Lagoon Road itself. So there has to be, in my view, sooner or later, we have to look at one, oiling up area, and two, oiling off area. Yeah, I think we would have to look at a oiling up area and a oiling off area.
Yeah.
Because when it becomes haphazard, that somebody come with the old paint and somebody come with the old oil, and they just come and they throw all this stuff. Yeah. When the rain falls afterwards. Hey, good morning, Honorable Bola.
Good morning, Mr. Sheldon.
What are you doing this morning?
I know if I do.
We talk about oil and we get a man that's shiny.
I hear you and the man talking about oil, and I like both of all your suggestions. The man is right. You can use some river water to wash down the vehicle. They're good, but you have to put the vehicle a long way from the river.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying makes so much sense. And not only does it affect the plants based on irrigation by some of our farmers, but it has an effect on our marine life. Yeah. That's something that a lot of us never consider, damaging our coral reef and the plant material on the seabed, which leads to increase in the tides.
It could be erosion, because once you have that collapse of the reef, it means that the land mass is getting the full force of the tidal wave, the tidal surge, not tidal wave, but tidal surge, and eventually it start to erode the land. So we have to be careful. That especially looking at we can't change the route for Juve in town. That's where we have to have Juve in town. But we may have to start looking. If you're looking at environment, might have to have a specific area. You go and you throw on your whole oil and you paint in that area, a contained area. Where the runoff could be controlled
or collected.
Right. And then when you finish play, you go back in that area and clean down. And it's controlled.
Yeah. Absolutely important.
All over is just running into... Because when you look, sometimes when you look at the carnage, the morning after Juve...
Hundreds of gallons of
or on a Carnival Tuesday, sometimes when you look at the carnage area running back to Pandy Beach and you realize all the bottles and styrofoam and that film of oil on top of the water. I think we could do better than that.
We can do much better than that.
And it gets into our food network. A lot of the species out there, the marine life, sometimes it gets into them, and we come back and consume them. We think that fish is a very healthy thing to eat, but we don't know that we're eating healthy but unhealthy fish.
I mean, as a child in Trinidad, you used to eat the sea crabs from close to the Petrotrin oil refinery. And even now I could still taste the silver in it because those things had mercury. So you could still taste the silver and those kind of things from it. Luckily, I mean, not good. But I had some friends who wasn't so good, nah? They used to eat more. Yes,
probably you overcook it more than them. Because that's one of the things about us West Indians.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why we have not had much more problems, not that we don't have problems, but much more, is because we are known to overcook our food. We don't eat our meat something rare or medium rare like the North Americans.
You gotta cook, you gotta real cook, pressure cook and all.
Yeah, that's what we like it tenderized. Yeah. You know? So we overcook. Anyway, gentlemen, I just barged in and I am not here to talk environmental issues. I just got into the conversation because that was one.
It's linked.
It's linked.
It's linked.
Yeah. I'm here quickly just to steal the moment that I have to speak a little bit about the cricket.
Nice. The Dutch Challenge Trophy.
Right, which will be launched on Saturday coming, the 16th. We'll be at the Malmont playing field. As you would know, and most other people who participated know that we started that last year for the first time, introducing a little social aspect of our politics in the cricket, where we have all of the constituencies, all 15, participating in the process. We did it on a knockout basis last year. We had 3 zones, Zone 1, 2, and 3. Zone 1 consists of the 5 constituencies in the parish of St. George. Zone 2 would have been the 4 St. Andrews plus St. David's. And Zone 3, the 2 St. Patrick's, St. John, St. Max, and Carriacou. Right? Okay. We played it on a knockout basis last year. You lose, you're out. Some people say we want more cricket. So this year, we still have the 3 zones, but we're not knocking out. We're going to be round robin. So in every zone, the 3 zones, 5 teams, they play each other. So there'll be 10 games. We try to arrange to have at least 2 games being played in every constituency. We basically will play on a Saturday afternoon, but that is not cast in stone. So, for example, if Devon is one constituency and Sheldon you're another, and you're supposed to play on Saturday coming, but for some reason there's activities in either one of your constituency on that Saturday that would not allow you to play your cricket, among yourselves you can determine which day of the week is best, and you play. It's 20 overs, it's win ball, we provide the ball, you come with your bat, you provide the stumps, and so wherever you're playing, an umpire and a scorer, each team would bring one, and we move on. But this Saturday, 4 p.m. sharp. So all teams be ready and be in Malmont before 4 o'clock. Latest 3:30. Because we have a very short program. Start with the chairman bringing on someone to pray from St. David's. We do the national anthem. We'll do our party song because it's a party activity. We then have the rep from St. David's, Brother Oliver Joseph, will welcome all of us who would be present. As General Secretary and the main organizer of the activity, we'll just give a short overview of what is happening, call the teams out so they match across the field, all 15 of them as their names are being called constituency by constituency. We'll have a short closing remark by the political leader, and then we move into games. We have at least one exhibition game already planned, which will be parliamentarians versus office staff. I know Florine Lynch is captaining office staff. She's getting players from all around the different offices.
Lynch?
Yes.
Good morning, Lynch.
She's the chief organizer. In fact, she was the brainchild of that idea. I learned yesterday afternoon that the parliamentarians is being captained by Senator Dr. Winston Garraway. I know him more as a preacher, not a cricketer. But anyway,
I've beaten that team.
he's going to be captain in the parliamentarians. There's a strong possibility that we may have a second exhibition game because the drivers of the ministers, they are now claiming that they have been left out and they want to be part of the process. And so I told them what
exhibition, they want to compete.
I told them what the procedure was. We're still awaiting their presence.
They're listening. All of them listening.
So if they come forward, we'll want to probably feature them on Saturday, and then we'll fit them into other games down the line if they're ready by then. And then we have 2 competition matches on Saturday afternoon. We have Carriacou and Petit Martinique who will be down. They will be playing St. John's in the first competition game. And the second competition game we want last year, winners who was Southeast St. Andrews, Minister Pierre constituency, they will be playing the host St. David's in the second game. They have lights, so we can go up to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock probably. Malmont. So we're inviting everybody to come out. All friends and supporters. I would
Brother Oliver organizing?
Miss Felix and them St. David's has responsibility for all eats and drinks.
All right.
Right? They run bar, they do everything. Everything is in their hand. Everything is in their hand. So maybe all along, I know they have chicken and chips and they have fries and they have fish.
No chicken and chips.
Like independent month, just chicken and fries and
oil long. Don't bring no chicken and chips.
I'm just telling you what the people are talking about.
We telling them don't bring it.
Well,
oil dung, brown dung.
Yeah. Anything with McDong.
Fish broth.
Yeah.
You could even barbecue lamb, we go take that.
Yeah, we will take that too.
Yeah. Don't bring no
and
chicken and chips.
That's why you and Devon eating, so everybody else think. Well, I can declare that I have changed my diet significantly, and meat is one of the things that I've excluded. So it doesn't matter for me.
So you and Devon on the same level.
That's good.
It doesn't matter for me if they bring meat or they didn't bring meat, because I'm more eating home there.
As we're talking about home, Minister, just to let the public know, all teams in the St. Andrew Cricket League are invited to a very important meeting this afternoon. That's going to be taking place at the St. Andrew's Methodist School from 5 p.m. So teams are asked to send at least 2 representatives to attend this important meeting. So that's the St. Andrew's Cricket League. They're trying to get things up and running and functioning. As your good partner.
Yeah, man, my cousin Terry.
Terry,
he's the president of now.
Terry Healer. Terry Healer.
Yeah, Terry. His mother is a bowler, you know. His father that is a healer. So my good cousin, and he always.
So he was a batsman.
He always acknowledge that we are cousins, and so. But let's not talk the politics now. But family and cricket, and I want to encourage him. I hear West Indies are doing too good, though.
West Indies right now. I think after we go through the Docks Challenge Trophy, we're going to see some young emerging talent that we could mold to get onto the West Indies side to follow people like Devon Smith and so on. Devon, who we're going to be giving his stand, because we know we have the West Indies team here the 25th and 27th with the one-day internationals. So we know we're going to be having that too. So it's like cricket, lovely cricket, and we had the weather for it.
Good weather.
Lovely weather.
Good facility. And good people. Boy, Grenadians enjoy themselves in cricket. And them Englishmen like you, they say that's the best beer they ever drink.
But you know the English team requested specifically to come to Grenada. It wasn't Grenada said, well, we bid in and we want them come. When they said they're having a tour of the Caribbean and they're coming to the Caribbean, they said, and we must go to Grenada.
Yes.
They wanted to come here.
Something special
Isle
about
of Spice,
Yeah.
They enjoy the Caribbean.
They're safe.
No, they're very safe, and that's something we tend to overlook from time to time, not highlighting the security and safety of this country. I mean, we have to say our men in the Royal Grenada Police Service, they are doing an excellent job, but we need to commend all Grenadians. Here and there we have our little incidents, accidents and things like that. But by and large, Grenadians have been conducting themselves in a very, very disciplined way. I mean, every weekend, I keep saying that every weekend, there's some fete, some festivity someplace, but you don't hear about a lot of incidents and,
two fellas might make a scuffle, somebody go run in between and say, hey, stop that day. My name is Mr. Ram, come, follow me. And the next minute, you see 2 of them hug up. So that's just the Grenadian way.
So we have been doing very well. Wherever there are still a little issues where a man wants to pitch a copper pelter bottle, I ask them to let better judgment prevail. We are one family. We've just celebrated 45 years as an independent country. Let's show them that we have not only grown economically and otherwise, but we have grown as a people. And we can learn to appreciate what each other can offer. While we may not agree totally, but we can accept. I can accept Sheldon for whom he is. I don't have to agree with everything he say or do. Yes? And so let's avoid that. Grenada is a safe place. Cricket this weekend. We're launching Malmong. All people come out, whether you're NNP or NDC. Come and see good thing. Come and have fun. Come, let's socialize. Let's build bridges so that we can
people from outside the area coming inside the area. So St. David people, remember St. Andrew Southeast. So up the road coming down to play.
Yes.
Then you have St. John coming across, and you have Carriacou taking boat and come down.
Yes.
You understand? And Carriacou leaving out Carriacou at a time when Carriacou starting to kick up. They're
up.
leaving it off to come down and play cricket and so we had to come out and support them.
Yep.
We had
They
to come out and
already
support them.
made arrangement for leaving police for the people because they'll be down since Friday evening.
Yeah.
To participate on Saturday evening and then to leave on Sunday to go back to Carriacou. So Carriacou, we welcome you. We're ready for you.
And if Curtis coming.
Yeah, she pass and she bring on Curtis.
Curtis might come and play.
You might have to check the people at the office to get the names. I don't have it. The ladies in the office. And they're very efficient too. They're working well.
Yeah.
You know, contacting the constituencies, determining what must happen and who, where, and the entire schedule. So what we'll do with you gentlemen, after Saturday, we're going to give you another listing, which would be the update for all the games for the next Saturday. Because what you have is 2 games in every zone. So you actually have 6 games being played simultaneously on the Saturdays.
On the Saturday.
Right?
Okay.
So Zone 1 would have 2 games, Zone 2, and Zone 3 would have 2. Okay. Right?
So in the case of Carriacou, you would have the teams from the mainland going up to Carriacou in there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So that's good.
They get points, then we move on to the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and then the finals. Yep.
Okay.
Doc's Challenge.
St. Andrews again.
Yeah.
Well,
and Doc just take a trophy again, because the Prime Minister's Ministry is the winner of the Interministerial Independence Competition.
Yeah, Doc gets winning everything.
Yeah, he win again, And you see around this time of year, he kind of unbeatable.
Yeah.
This time of year, he kind of unbeatable. You know, last time was February, then it's March. Yes, February, March. You know, he unbeatable. This time of year.
I hear Teachers Union had the election on March 13th.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, March 13th, this year is our 40th anniversary of the March 13th revolution. So
40 years already?
40 years of revolution.
What?
After the revolution, 1979.
Congratulations, Devon. I mean, there are others that could congratulate, but I just want to congratulate Devon now. Yeah? So, gentlemen, as you continue, just show that for us, reminding the people Saturday afternoon. Indeed. It's a good line, family line, bring the people out, it's a nice dry place. And Sheldon, if you can give like a directions where Malmont is, I think some people say they're not sure.
Yeah, because
I hope we can put up a
thing.
Well, it's a right turn if you're coming from St. George's.
A left
turn if you're coming from St. Andrews. Yeah?
Sharp left.
Akbar had given directions. I know where to find it, I know how to get there.
Yeah, I know how to get there.
After you pass the police station and then you pass the Bellevue playing field. I think most people know the Bellevue playing field.
Yeah, once you pass the Bellevue playing field.
Right. You go down, then you reach like when you pass Rucane Junction.
Yeah, there is a...
After you pass Rucane Junction, you continue, you go down, then you come up a steep hill. The steep hill, as soon as you come over the steep hill, it's on, you take a right.
Yeah, there's a little garage on the left just before you make that right. And then there's a road right opposite, yeah? There's a left and a right, yeah.
So you
the
take
people up there as well are a spice. I don't know why you call that side. What you call that side?
They have a sign there, you know.
They have a sign that says Malmont. Right. Yeah, well, we'll look at it, and if need be, we'll put up
and there's a church,
Bristol
and there's a church right in the entrance there.
In the entrance, I know exactly
church or whatever, but we need to, so we'll get all the specifics.
We'll send GPS locations.
Yes. All right. But see you all on Saturday, everybody. Please come in your numbers, come support your team, support your constituency, but most importantly, come and meet your people and socialize with them.
Yes.
Take care now.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, we were just speaking with, I still call him the Honorable Roland Bola.
Yes,
who's also
the General Secretary of the party.
Our Gen Sec. Yeah. So all it's coming up. That's on a Saturday from 4 p.m. at Malmont Playing Field. In fact, for those of you that may remember, you see where WeiVybz had the launch fete this year?
And Liquor Kerry and all of them.
They launched the fete in Malmont Playing Field this year. Same playing field.
Same place.
Yeah, same place that WeiVybz launched the thing this year.
We will get some better directions or more efficient directions and pass it on as we go on for the rest of the week, you know?
Yes, indeed. And for those of you in the St. Andrew area, remember, all teams in the St. Andrew Cricket League, they're invited to a very important meeting this evening at the St. Andrew Methodist School from 5 p.m. All teams are asked to send at least 2 representatives to attend this very important meeting, all right? And let me say a special good morning to Mr. Elvis Edwards. Yeah, I hope that you're having a wonderful day today, sir.
And you know the St. Andrews Cricket League has been dormant for the last 2 or 3 years.
Who was in charge?
I think
Who was in charge?
I think LL Lyden Lewis was the president for the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah, and for some reason,
educate and edify myself. So it's,
for some reason it just went dormant. I don't know if because of his extra duties with the with other things. But be that as may.
Yeah.
Come out and support and be a part of the meeting this evening, or St. Andrew's clubs. Okay.
Yeah. All right, folks, and remember our guys, they're down there in Trinidad. Folks, remember, especially the business community, you need to support them. You need to support our guys down there in Trinidad. Huh? Yeah, they're representing Grenada, the international soca monarch, representing full 1,000. You don't know full 100, yeah. Full 1,000.
Full voltage,
yeah. So next year you might send a next crop.
Well, a fresh crop.
Along with that 2 out of Carriacou.
Yeah, well, Carriacou, Carriacou would be there next year for sure, and so. But then again, that will I don't know how that will work, because sooner or later, in the next 2 or 3 years, out of 7 or 8 Calypsonians taking part, he may not have space for even the Trinidadians.
I don't say that.
And that's some of them fear.
them real touchy on this. Remember, I have literally hundreds of friends in Trinidad, and they are touchy.
And family, I know.
They are touchy. Now, my family understand what time it is. So let me bother
the invasion to them as a foreign power, it's not going on well.
When it comes to my family in Trinidad, they understand perfectly that they're just living in Trinidad, but they're Canadian. So that ain't putting them off. They support it.
Trini, only look out. We coming. We there already. Folks, we coming
the
again.
thing is that we have to stop looking at it like this. This thing cannot be about, oh, you're born in Trinidad or you're born in Grenada. If we continue to look at things like that, the culture can't go anywhere. We can't move forward. If it's going to be judged based on that, if somebody's going to win in Trinidad based on the fact that they are just on the fact that they are Grenadian, then that person shouldn't want to win. Telling you straight. If it's going to be just based on where you are from, it must be based on the quality of the performance on the day. That's what winning is about. It should be based on the quality of the performance on the day. So we have to make sure that our guys bring it. Right now, they say Voice wasn't going to defend the crown. I hear all kind of thing now. They're trying to make all sort of machinations now to ensure that he comes and he defends. And the thing is, he was defending as the international soca monarch. Now it's split into Groovy and Power. So it's what category are you going to put him in, and how would you legally put him in? They're saying that he's legally obligated to do that. So all sorts of machinations, so your artist could go to sing and the drum machine could start to give problems, and the video could stick, and the dancers could not show up, and all kind of things could happen. So the way for us to protect against that, to make sure that when we win hands down, is to ensure that we bring as many as possible of our people down to Trinidad. Those of you that can make it down, go down, and then Saturday fly back up, because we need you in Carriacou. Yeah, we ain't saying nothing for that carnival. Right now we come into the most comfortable, safest mass anywhere on the planet. Kayak mass. That's the safest mass anyway.
And then when you think about Paradise Beach, and all of that, so you can't miss it.
Oi, and all you going up Carriacou for kayak mass, we ain't tolerating, and I'm saying we are talking as a kayaker, that's put on different at a different time. We ain't tolerating no old oil on Paradise Beach. Go somewhere else. Ain't you going and spoil with beach?
That is a no.
Don't go on with beach with no old oil and paint on your skin. Don't go. That is we own. Right? Do not go on our beach with no old oil and no old paint and thing on your skin and leaving all kind of rag and all kind of thing over. Not on the beach.
But it's definitely something that we have to consider and do something about. That Juve morning, the excess, the oil, where we put it on, as you said, and where it get off. We need to control that, because it definitely is affecting our environment. Over the years, you know how many thousands of gallons of old oil that has been entered into our rivers and our beaches and so?
We're not saying stop the mass. That's our tradition.
You can't stop
That's how we play. That's our tradition and so.
But we need to control it better.
We need, it can't be an individual running with a bucket of oil in the middle of the road and just deciding you're going and pour it.
End up in a drain.
We had to move past that stage. You have to
definitely
get to the stage that we understand that when you do that, you're going to destroy the reefs that are protecting the lagoon. When that happens, one, you're damaging the fishing, but you're also going to be damaging the ability of the coastline to retain its present structure, because when the reefs are dead and there are holes in them,
disaster,
full blast of the water coming through, and then you find that we have no lagoon road again, or that we can't have the ships parking up there as we should.
That beautiful view
and
we have
that
there.
Sort of thing.
You know?
So we have to be careful. We have to look at that.
Let's avoid it.
There should be, and I'm going to advocate for that.
Definitely, that's one of our goals.
There should be a greasing area and a degreasing
area. Or a number of them, a couple of them on the route, you know, to jab, and then as you leave, you exit, you know, and so we have the type of place and the equipment and so that could facilitate that.
Well,
right?
it was a short one today, folks, so we didn't have time to take calls today.
Yes, and
hence why we didn't even call the numbers. So because that's it for today. You know, we have to go. We're out of time today.
Wow.
But remember, for those of you up in St. Andrew, the St. Andrew Methodist School, each cricket team in the St. Andrews League, you need to send 2 representatives to the St. Andrew Methodist School today. Those of you that hear, tell others. Yes, spread the word. All right, nice. Remember, Saturday, we're heading up to Malmont Playing Field for cricket, lovely cricket, the Doc Challenge Trophy. It's going to be starting on Saturday. So, Carriacou versus St. John, St. Andrew Southeast versus St. David, plus an exhibition match between the parliamentary representatives and the office staff. And you may have
Sheldon is the pace bowler.
Me and
Nazim keeping.
Most I ever doing cricketers go and score cricket when it was World Cup. I score cricket for the World Cup. That is it. Yeah, I was in charge of the screen for the World Cup, scoring the cricket and thing. Yeah, that is me. I was not in charge, but one of the guys that was inside there, me. that. Right. Other than that, me. Anyway, folks, that's all the time we have for today. It's been wonderful being here with you. We'll be back tomorrow, God's willing, same time for more Hard Talk. We'd like to thank each of the stations who joined us, all of the viewers online, and all of you that tune in daily to help make Hard Talk the #1 program that it is. All right? Love each and every one of you. My name is Sheldon Scott.
I'm Devon Romain.
And whatever you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you.
Not about you.
All right.
Peace out.
I am out.
Rising cases of lung cancer in Grenada. Details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Monday, February 11th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Health officials in Grenada say there is an increase in lung cancer cases. This was raised during the official handover of an infusion pump to the oncology department of the General Hospital on Monday. The donation was made by the Grenada Cancer Society through sponsorship from stakeholders, support groups, and yearly membership subscriptions. It came as a result of the drastic growth in breast cancer among women, prostate cancer among men, colon, and the recent increase in lung cancer cases. Dr. Barrymore McBarnett highlighted statistics relating to cancer in Grenada.
So in 2018, we had about 885 patients in the clinic, some of them recurring. 93 were new patients, and about 145 are on active treatment. Largely, we still see breast cancer as the main form of cancer among women, prostate among men, and we see also colon cancer. More recently, we've been noticing an increase in lung cancer. We're not sure the reason why, but that's been happening to us recently.
Reverend Osbert James, member of the Grenada Cancer Society, spoke of efforts made by the society to provide support to patients.
The society is primarily concerned about prevention. That is our major goal. So we are wanting not to have to treat people if we can avoid it. But we know that that's not necessarily feasible at this time. So we do a lot of education. We also provide help for a number of persons who have been diagnosed with cancer. We have helped people to get chemotherapy to pay for the drugs. We have also helped people to go abroad. We have provided financial assistance for them to go to Trinidad, to go to Cuba, and even to the United States to get help.
The government of Grenada has extended hearty congratulations to the Grenadian soca and groovy artists who have now advanced to the finals of the International Soca Monarch competition in Trinidad. Just last week, a similar message of congratulations was extended to the artists when they were named semi-finalists. Minister for Culture and the Arts, Senator Noland Cox, who traveled to the neighboring republic to witness the competition, said to have them all advance to the finals is an incredible achievement and a very proud moment. He says, and I quote, "We are proud that our guys have made it this far. We are very excited. I am proud to be a Grenadian and to see what they are doing for Grenada. The artists have done an excellent job representing Grenada and showcasing the country's culture," unquote. Senator Cox noted the long-standing relationship between Grenada and Trinidad, and he's optimistic that only good things can come from this. The minister said that the good showing of Grenadian artists in Trinidad augurs well for the promotion of our own Spice Mass, scheduled for August 12th and 13th. Grenada moves ahead with plans to completely ban the use and importation of single-use plastic bags by 2020. That's according to Climate Resilience and Environment Minister Senator Simon Steele. This forms part of government's thrust to become a resilient nation. He says importers and suppliers have until December 2019 to deplete their inventory of non-biodegradable plastic bags and purchase the new alternatives, which are healthier for humans and the environment.
Importers will have 10 months to deplete the inventories they currently hold of single-use carrier bags. So the second phase of the ban will come into effect on the 1st of December of this year, where it will be illegal for those importers, those suppliers, to supply and to sell carrier bags to retailers, to vendors, to shops. Then the third phase will kick in exactly a year from now on the 1st of February 2020, where it'll be illegal for shops, vendors, retailers to supply plastic bags. So by February of 2020, there should be no more single-use carrier bags in the state of Grenada.
A ban is also in effect for styrofoam products. The ban came into effect on September 1st, 2018. Importers and suppliers now have until April 1st, 2019 to use existing styrofoam stocks, after which it will become illegal to use and sell the products.
From the 1st of March this year, it will be illegal for those importers to sell styrofoam products to vendors, to retailers. And then the third phase, the final phase, will kick in with a ban of use of all specified styrofoam products by the 1st of April 2019.
This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break. Welcome back. With Grenada currently experiencing a meteorological drought, farmers are being urged to be selective about what crops they plant. Land Use Officer Trevor Thompson says this is necessary since there will not be sufficient water to irrigate all crops. He was speaking during a recent press conference which looked at the drought situation in Grenada and what can be done to mitigate against the effects.
The ministry understands that it needs to do some research in terms of identifying drought-resistant varieties, and I think that's something that is a high priority, seeking to identify drought-resistant seeds and varieties of crops, so that once the outlook comes from CIMH, we can begin to ask farmers to begin to get those plants and begin to put them in the field. Because we understand that you still need to feed the nation. We still need to supply to the hotels. Right, and farmers still need to have a livelihood.
Grenada is currently developing a national water policy and a national drought management plan, both of which could have a final draft by the end of this month. An evening of fun and appreciation for elderly citizens of Grenada at the National Celebrations Committee's annual Prime Minister's Luncheon on Sunday, under the theme, Building Resilience and Enhancing Social and Economic Transformation. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell says, for years the government has placed emphasis on creating an enabling environment for senior citizens to ensure their comfort and safety.
We are enjoying the benefits of your labour. And of course, this is why we place a lot of emphasis on ensuring that create the best environment for those of you who have sacrificed to this country over the years.
Parliamentary Representative for St. Andrew North East, Kate Lewis, commended the elders on their sacrifice and hard work to pave the way for future generations. She said because of their service, Grenada is on the road to being a resilient nation.
You have paved the way for us. You have provided yeoman service to our country, and every opportunity to celebrate with you is a welcome one. Today, I am happy to be a part of this celebration as we join together and under the theme, Enhancing Social and Economic Transformation, Building Resilience. It is because of you, our elderly citizens, we are able to celebrate under this theme. Your hard work through the years is what taught us resilience.
14 individuals were awarded from each constituency on the mainland for their contribution over the years. The awards were distributed by Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell. That story just ended the national report for today, Monday, February 11th. Recapping the top story. Reports of rising cases of lung cancer in Grenada. On behalf of all those who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.